Hi, welcome to the another video of Python for Cybersecurity course. So in this video, we are going to learn three things. So let me tell you first what are the things we are going to understand in this video. So the topic is control structures. In that, we are going to first learn about conditional statement, which is for say if else, which is the condition in Python. Second thing that we are going to cover is loops. Two loops will be covering for loop and while loop. Third thing that we have cover is exception handling. So these are things we are going to cover in this video. Conditional statement where if else will come, loop, for loop and while loop. And third thing is exception handling. So I hope you're going to learn a lot of things here. Now let's get to the uh, Linux machine. So here we go. So first we are going to understand what is condition statement. So purpose of condition statement, which is if else, is to execute different code blocks based on certain conditions. So let me show you practical. So this is a Python for cybersecurity. We're doing the rest of the codings. So first let's create a Python file. I'm using Pluma uh, ifelse.py. So the first thing in if else condition we do is first we'll type if and then the condition that we are willing to apply. So this is basically what this is going to do. This is going to code if condition is true. Now next thing is uh, elif another condition. So here this is basically code if don't worry, I'm going to tell you everything. This is going to work when the code if no conditions are. So basically what does it mean? In if else condition we can use three things. First thing is the, let's say if there is in condition, let's say if we are taking input, we have already stored a variable with the input as a VIH group. So if we want, if the user is going to enter VIH group, then this condition will fulfill. The message that we have entered here will going to be printed. If another thing, let's say if VIH group is the first condition, second condition is India. If someone is going to India, then this thing will should be executed. And what if apart from VIH group and India will be typed by the user, then this thing will be going to work. Understood? This is very easy. This is the first thing what you're getting here. What is hash? So basically, the hash that we're going to use in Python is for comment purpose. Whatever you're going to write after hash will not be going to be executed. So for commenting and explaining what exactly a code is going to do, you can use hash. Understood? If condition, if this will be fulfilled, then the message that we are going to type here will be printed. If this condition will be fulfilled, then the message that we are going to type below will be fulfilled, and if nothing is going to work, then at end of the day this will be going to printed. So this is a basic structure. Now let's understand with the example. So we are creating a basic code where we are going to get an input from the user. We are asking for the password. If the password will be correct, then access will be granted, and if the password will not be correct, then access will not be granted. So let's create a variable with the name password, and then what is the correct password? Let's say VIH group will be the correct password. If user is going to enter VIH group, then access will be given, otherwise access will be denied. Now let's take an input from the user in a form of password. So another variable with the name user input and input. Now let's take something from them. enter your password. So this is something where the user is going to enter the password. Now let's start the condition. If user input, what is user input that we are going to get from here? If the user input equals to password, then simply print access granted. Okay, and in case if user is not going to enter the correct password, then else use else, then simply print access denied. Understood? This is very simple. Now let's try to execute this one. So for that, what we'll do, uh, let's give execution permission. Okay, it's given now. So what it says basically line 2, there is an error. Can you find out what is an error? Sometime we are going to put it intentionally, but uh, just find the error. What is there? What is the error here? Let's try to figure it out. So how to find an error? Here you see on line number 2, there is an error. So what can be error? We are printing message, so let's try to enter this thing. Okay, let's execute it once again. And it's asking for the password. Let's the password is hello. Access denied. Let's try once again. The password is VIEH group. Access granted. So understood. This is exactly how the basic if else work, right? So this was very easy. How if else condition is going to work. Now next error was it was a trick actually. Very basic thing. Upper code should always be written if we are going to and print any message. Okay. So the next topic that we have is loop. So here we are going to learn about for and while loop. So the code that we are going to write uh, right now, the coding that we are going to do will be for the loop, and the purpose will be to repeat code multiple times. And for loop, we are going to create a list, and accordingly, we'll be taking some ports. So let me show you how exactly it's being done. So here's the folder where we were doing coding. So let's create something with the program and Python. Let's keep it loop.py. Loop.py. Now let's open with the Luma that we are starting from the starting, opening from the starting, sorry. So here we go, and a terminal for executing the code. So let me explain you a very basic of very basic syntax. So for example, for item in sequence. So this is a code to execute for each item actually. This is what we are writing to execute each and every item which is in the list actually. So let me show you a real life example how we can code something for the while loop. So let's take some port which will be a best example for us right now. Let's take port number 21, 22, 80, 443. So this line is a list of port which need to be checked in. Now we are using loop for loop for port in ports. So this is basically iterates over each port in the list. Okay, so this is the variable we have assigned the value, which is a list. Four items are there. So for port in ports, I'm going to explain you each and every line. Now let's print it. It should be printed in a format, so we are using f string, checking port. Now it should be in it should be printed in line by line, so we are using this. And now the uh, port that we have used, port for loop, port in port. So ports is basically the variable and port is basically what we are going to uh, print. Okay, we have to take something for the loop as well. Control S, and now let's try to execute Python 3 loop.py. So it's not executing actually. Why so? Because let me try something. Let's keep a tab here. Here you can see it's printing. So it was not printing because a tab is required whenever you use any for loop. So you need to enter a tab between it. So let me try to explain you each and every line very easily. So this is this line, first line. This create a list name ports which is containing 21, 22, 80 and 443. This is the variable actually that I name that I have given to it. And for ports in port, so what does it mean? This states a loop that will iterate over each port number in the port list actually. And the last thing is the this print a message for each port using f, which is a formatting string. Because let me show you, if you're not going to use f, what will happen. So here you can see it's not printing. So for formatting, we need to type f. So here you can see it's printing. So let me break it little more. You understand the first line port, and this is a list. So second line is seems to be little complex for the beginners. So this line start with a for loop. Okay, this is a loop that will go through which each item or ports. Okay, so this is a variable. So this is going to be each item on ports one by one. Why we are using this? So this is the port is available that takes the value of each item, like this one in the list during each of the loop. Okay, so this basically going to do take each item, and then this is going what is going to be printed in the last line. Okay, so f, why f was used? Because this is a formatting string, f should be used. And yeah, this was the basic actually. I hope you understand why how to do all this shit stuff. Sorry. So you can add as much as you want. This is how it's working. Now let's uh, go for a while. Like there was two loop now we have discussed in the starting. For loop and while loop. Now we'll be checking for the while loop. While loop basically repeat as long as condition is true. So here we use for. For is for loop. Okay. For is for loop, which was for port in ports. This is going to print one by one. And while loop is basically it is going to repeat as long as the condition will not be fulfilled. So basically in while loop we give a specific uh, condition. So let me show you syntax for the while loop. In while loop, let's say this is a condition, 1 equals to 1, anything. So while condition, so what does it mean? This is code to execute while the condition is true. So let's say while is there, and a condition is something that need to be fulfilled. If this is going to be fulfilled, then the message that we are going to print right here will be printed, or else it will not be printed. So for example, let's write a very small code. So we are going to create a very basic tool where we are going to keeping it a password, and it will going to ask for the password until unless the condition will not be fulfilled. So password equals to, let's say, secure password. So this is the correct password basically, or let's say VIH group. This is the correct password that will be entered by the user in to get the authentication. So let's create another variable, attempts 0. So this is the count of number of attempts. Okay, this is the counter of basically counter for the number of attempts. Now next, let's keep a variable with the maximum attempts. It will be 3, which is the maximum attempt allowed. Now the loop will start while attempts will be smaller than maximum attempts. So this is a loop uh, which the number of attempts is less than the maximum allowed. Hey, as I told you, while, and this is a condition. Attempts is a while attempts is smaller than maximum attempts, which means it should be smaller than 3. Then this condition will be fulfilled. So now user input, it will be taking input from the user equals to input. Now let's ask into your password, buddy. Okay, it will be asking for the this will be prompt for the user for asking the password. Now next thing is, if user input equals to password, then what we need to do, we need to check if the user input matches the correct password. Okay, then you need to, let's you tab print a message access granted. Okay, and we need to write a break which is to exit the loop if access is granted, means if the condition is fulfilled, this will be going to be breaked. Otherwise, another condition is else. Okay, in else what does it run? Print access denied. Then attempts to 1. This means increment the number of the attempts accordingly. And if first equals to max attempts, check this is to check the maximum number of attempts has been reached or not. Then print account logged due to too many failed attempts. Okay, so this is a basic code. Let's try it's working or not. This will give you some error because in line number 5. So this is the exact code which should work. So now it's asking for the password. Let's secure password. Access granted. Let's try another thing. Hmm. Let's enter a bad password 3 times. So this was why, this is because maximum attempt was 3. We tried for 3 times, so account locked due to too many failed attempts. So let me try to explain you uh, how does it work. So here the thing that you're seeing on screen is a pass variable where the secure password, the uh, the password that we have stored in the variable attempts would be 0, start with the 0 attempts, and maximum attempts would be 3. Now we are using a while loop, which is a condition where it should be run until unless condition will be satisfied. So attempts should be minimum then maximum attempts, which means 0 should be there and 3. So it should be minimum 3. Okay, max to max 3 should be there. If it will going to exceed, then the condition will not be fulfilled. So basically, maximum attempt should be 3. User input, okay, it's asking for the input from the user, and whatever they are going to enter, like this is working as a variable once again. And whenever someone is going to enter the password, okay, if the user input equals to password, which means secure password, it will print access granted. Okay, and the statement will break because the condition is fulfilled. If password will not be correct, then it will goes here, which will be said to be access denied. Here attempt plus equals to 1 means this line increment the number of attempts, which means it actually is the shortest way of saying add 1 to the current value of the attempts actually. And if attempts equals to maximum value 3, it will be simply going to say account logged due to too many failed attempts. Understood? Password, this is variable. Secure password is the password which is stored in this variable. Creating two variable. First is the 0 and second the maximum attempt 3. So this is the while statement. This is going to run until unless the condition will be satisfied. So first attempts is less than maximum attempts. Okay, and user input, we are now taking the input from the user, where they are going to enter the password. If the user password equals to password, which means secure password, it will directly print access granted and break entire thing. Okay, which means the condition is certified and the code will stop running. If the password not will correct, then it will just go to this section which will say access denied. And this means actually the shortest way of saying add 1 to the current value of attempts. Okay, if attempts equals to maximum attempt, which means 3, it will this message will be printed. Okay, if the correct thing will be said, then this message will print access denied. If it will be wrong, then access denied will be said. And if the maximum attempt will be 3, like they are trying the one by one. Okay. Like they have tried maximum 3 times the password, the correct password. If it will not be correct, then this will be printed. So as it is at that. So this is how exactly how it works. Now, next topic is exception handling. So here we'll be understanding. Let's close this thing. Exception handling. This is a very interesting topic. So basically, uh, exception handling means to manage error and exception, which is going to allow the program to continue run or fail gradually. This is going to handle the exceptions actually, nothing a rocket science here. So let me show you. Try. This is the first thing what we are going to use in exception handling. So this is code that might rise as an exception, because if there is an exception, this will be printed. Now, except some exceptions, let's say as E. This means code to run if the exceptions occur. Okay, um, and then let's say else will be there, which in the code to run if the exceptions occur, which is optional actually. And finally, this will be basically the code to run no matter what anything happens. This will be going to be printed. Now let's create a write a code actually. Let's create a file name equals to log.txt, which is a name of the file that need to be open. So we are going to create a file basically of txt file log.txt on the same path. Okay. And now what they need to do, let's try the exception handling. Try. As I said you, they 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 need to open the file and file name. As I said you, this is a variable where the log text will be stored. And now file name, and this will be going to open with the uh, read permission actually, which was already assigned to it. Now data equals to file dot read, where it need to read the content of the file. They need to print data later on, and now exception should be the exception file not found error. So this is basically handle the case where the file does not exist. If the file exists, then this will be going to happen. First, it will open the file with the read mode. It will read the things and then it will print the data. So file read will be stored within it data and data will be printed. Now, if the file will not be found, then this will occurs as exception, and this will be going to print. Now create a formatting string file file name, which is log.txt not found. Very simple. Again exception. Permission error. This is going to handle the case where the file cannot be read due to the permission actually. And now they need to print. Okay, so this is a basic code that we have written. So let's try it's working or not. It's not working because there is some sort of error in the line number 4, which is with open file name comma is there and are as a file actually. So this is the correct version that we have coded right now. So let me explain you this code at first. So this is the file name, which is a variable which is said to be the file that need to be open, and this is a try, which means block that contain code that might cause an error. Here with open file name minus r as file. So this is going to attempt to open the file for reading. Data equals to file dot read, which means read the file content, and print data, which means print the file content actually, which was here you can see file name is basically what log.txt. It will be opened in the read mode, and the file need to be read and it is stored in the data and data will be printed at last. Now except file not found error. This handle the error if the file is not found and printed an error message. The error message will be file name log.txt not found, and then except permission error. This will be handle the error if there is a permission is when print an error message, which means if the right permission will not be given, then this is going to work. Let me show you executing this command. Python 3 ex exception.py file not found because there is no file exists with the same name. Let's create a file. Let's see it's working or not. Okay, it says working. Now it's what if why this is blank? Because this is going to read and no content is there. Okay. Hi, welcome to YouTube course. So this is content we have added. Let's check it's printing or not. So it's printing. This is exactly how it works. The exception handling. Let me try to explain you once again if it sounds to be little hard. If so, here the first line, which means file's name, is a variable that it's store the name of the file we want to open. Now next, try open the file. So this entire code try with print data. So here the try that you're seeing begins with a block of code that attempts to perform operations that might uh, fail. Okay, it doesn't confirm it will work or fail. So this is that it will going to give it a try with open file name r as file. So this is try to open the log file with a file name. Here we can see the read mode. We have given the read mode, and now file dot read. This is a variable, and the variable we have given file dot read is basically read the entire content of the file, and here the print data will be print the content of the file to the screen. Now what does this mean? File uh, this is the handle. Basically this is going to handle. Okay, file not found and this thing, this is going to handle exception basically. So here this is first thing, this line, this catches the error that occurs if log.txt file will not be found. So it will print file log.txt not found. And next thing is last line, permission error. So this will be like catches the error that basically occur uh, if there is any permission issue when trying to read the log.txt file. And this is again print an error message that indicates the permission issue. Okay, so now it's working fine. It's showing the content, which means first thing will be uh, running. Okay, so that's why the next two thing is not running. If there will be any permission issue, then this will be printed permission denied to read file log.txt, and if file will not be found, then this will print it as file log.txt will not be found. Now summary for this video is condition statement that we have learned is in the starting, if else, which decide which code to execute based on the condition. Second thing we have learned is loop, for loop and while loop, which repeat the code multiple times, and exception handling, and the last which manage error gracefully actually. So the thing that we have learned in this video is condition statement, which was if else. Next thing is loops, what loop we have learned, for and while. Next thing is exception handling. So this is what we have learned in this video. So this explanation example should help you to understand how to use Python concept in this cybersecurity script actually. So I hope you have learned a lot of things in this video. So thank you for watching. We are waiting in the next video. Thanks for watching. Jai Hind.